Good morning. This is our hotel. It's a coffee shop down here, and the hotel is up there. It's a simple place, simple rooms, but it's comfortable enough. All the facilities are fine. So right now, I'm gonna find my way to a money changer, which I heard can change ringgit to Cambodian real. So I have some dollars, but I also need some real. So I can't change that back home because it's not available in most of the money changers in Malaysia. So I did read up that there's I guess a more international or a more established money changer. It's cool, huh? Not sure what's. Yeah, it's a temple, but I'm not sure what's the name of the temple. So yeah, I read that there's a money changer here that accepts Malaysian ringgit. It's called LY Hour Exchange. So I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna try to go there by bus. So there's a bus stop if I walk down like 6-7 minutes. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get the bus and then go to this money exchange. I just changed some money in the airport, but I just changed a very small amount just to get me through the bus, because for the bus it costs 1,500 Cambodian real per person. So I just needed some small Cambodian reals, which I had to change at the airport. The airport rate was, I think, for 10 ringgit, I got, for 10 ringgit, I got about 9,100 Cambodian reals. Ideally, 10 ringgit, you can get 10,000 reals. But yeah, airport exchange rate, and also yeah, it's fluctuating. So like, but I think in the city, the rate is about 1 ringgit is about 1,000 Cambodian real, because $1 is about 4,000 Cambodian real.
Hello, where you from, sir?
From Malaysia.
Malaysia.
Yeah.
Oh, you.
Yeah, I just make video for fun. Must be this is the bank in the French colonial sort of style. Hey, Hanuman. Tuktuks all over. I think you can easily get anywhere you want to go by Tuktuk. Or also they have this thing called the remorque, which is like a local sort of tuk-tuk. It's a bigger tuk-tuk basically. National Museum is actually this way. The signboard. Yeah, so the National Museum is in there, along with, I think, some university, National University of Fine Arts. Is this building Satapana? Not sure what's that exactly. So yeah.
This temple is so cool.
Yeah. We'll probably check it out because it's really close to our hotel. So right now, yeah. There's a fruit stall. There's all kinds of stalls. And the place is riddled with cafes. There's a lot of cafes here. It's quite similar to Vietnam, I think. This is the local tuk-tuk. And yeah, we're gonna go to this restaurant nearby for a quick breakfast. Then I'm gonna go further into the city, like the central market, and gonna check all the main stuff here, like the Genocide Museum and the S21 prison. Yeah. We're starting off our morning in this Malaysian restaurant. Dulang.
And I ordered nasi goreng pattaya.
And Nescafe tarik for me. That's the owner. And that's the shop. It's called Dulang Cafe.
Actually, he has another intention to bring us like in Malaysia restaurant. I don't know why.
I mean, like, if she eats one heavy meal, then she'll keep quiet for the rest of the day. So like, that will help me out.
That's so bad.
Alright, so we just had our breakfast here in the Malaysian restaurant, and now we're getting into the tuk-tuk to go to the Royal Palace. So we'll go check out the Royal Palace, and then we'll check in from there. It's just a short ride. I think it's like a 5-minute ride. So we're going to be checking out the Royal Palace of Cambodia. And the Royal Palace, it was built in the 1860s by King Norodom. It was largely destroyed later on, and it was rebuilt again in the early 1900s. So I believe this is the Royal Palace complex. So we're gonna go see that, but it seems blocked out. But yeah, it seems like a lively place. So let's go check it out. The Royal Palace of Cambodia. So behind me, that's the Royal Palace of Cambodia, built by King Norodom. King Norodom built this in the 1860s, and it was kind of destroyed a little bit. And early 1900s, they continued building it. If we go down that way, something called the Silver Pagoda. The Silver Pagoda houses a lot of treasures, Buddha statues, the golden Buddha statues. There's something also called the Emerald Buddha statue. She found a friend, I guess. She made a friend. Hi.
Hi.
Are you from Phnom Penh?
Yeah, Phnom Penh.
Oh, Phnom Penh.
Sao tự nhiên mà
It's okay. Thank you.
không ăn đi mà sao?
I know.
Không ăn đi mà.
So the thing about the Royal Palace is that it was not being used during the time of the Khmer Rouge. The Khmer Rouge obviously being a period of um, oppressive dictatorship going on here by Pol Pot. Its effects still lives with the people today. For example, we were talking to someone on the airport bus ride, about the relationship, the current strenuous relationship between Cambodia and Thailand. And they said that Cambodians have no intention, no ill intention. They don't want to fight. They just want peace. They just recovered from a period of brutality, a period of pain, a period of torture, a period that they all want to let go. They want to forget. They want to move on past that, and they want peace. And now they are not looking for war or for fights with anyone. So it's something that's left a lasting effect on the people here. Later on, when we go to the S21 Genocide Museum, also the killing fields, we can see a lot of the effects left by Pol Pot's regime, the torture, the killing, the brutality that was left by the Khmer Rouge. So I briefly just talked about the Khmer Rouge. This palace, with regards to the Khmer Rouge, it was not being operated during the time of the Khmer Rouge, but eventually, after that has subsided, the royals have picked up the place, and Cambodian royals are utilizing the palace behind us. So yeah, I was talking about the Silver Pagoda, which houses a lot of the treasures from back then, right? And there's like Buddha statues. There's this golden Buddha statue. There's also an emerald Buddha statue. Not sure if you can see all of those. Go check it out. But yeah, Royal Palace of Cambodia. That's the Mekong River's on the other side. So the river that we see straight away, it's called something. I'll have to check on the name and I'll add it to the subtitles. So the Mekong River is further behind, towards that way. So it's pretty much like the riverfront area. So let's go see the Silver Pagoda. There's quite a bit to say about Cambodian history, especially with regards to a more recent time, which goes to the Khmer Rouge. For example, during the times of the Khmer Rouge, this palace right here, it was defunct. It wasn't operational. Only later on, after all that had subsided, the Cambodian royals took this over, and now this is the Royal Palace of Cambodia. So as we're walking, we also see this garden. This entire area is pretty much like a very touristy place. In Malaysia, I guess you could relate this to Dataran Merdeka, so Independence Square, kind of like that. But this has a riverfront. KL doesn't have a riverfront, but if you want the riverfront, you can relate it to Penang, to Padang Kota. But anyways, I'm not sure Okay, let me try to find the Silver Pagoda and then we'll talk from there. That right there is the Ministry of Justice. So, as I mentioned, the Silver Pagoda is inside this compound. It costs, there's also a model of the Angkor Wat. The Angkor Wat. It's alright, thank you. It's okay. There are tuk-tuk tours, you know, that will cover 10 to 15 destinations in an hour and a half. It costs 25 USD. So if that's what you want, then go for that. Otherwise, you can just go to each place individually. And over here, the Silver Pagoda, the entry fee to this compound is $10.25. So you can see the Silver Pagoda. There's also a model of the Angkor Wat, which you can check out inside. We're not going inside. We're going to proceed on to the other attractions. So I stopped by for sugarcane juice. 3,000 Rial, about 3 ringgit, less than $1. It's right opposite this. This building name what? Oh, okay, it's okay. So this is the sugarcane juice we picked up. It was about less than $1. But it doesn't taste like sugarcane juice. I'm not sure
It
why.
tastes like orange juice.
Yeah, it tastes like orange, like lime.
But it's legit sugarcane because we saw.
Yeah, it was from the
process.
sugarcane. I mean, when I say lime or orange, it's not like super sour, but it's not like super sugarcane sweet as well. So, I'm not sure. Maybe it's a different species of sugarcane. Hello. Hello, buddy. But it's refreshing though.
Yeah.
Let's just go there. I think that we are walking towards the river now. So once we check out the river and relax for a bit, and we are off to the Genocide Museum. Chaktomuk Walk Street. Someone in the bus told us that this Chaktomuk Walk Street has fried crickets. So my wife right here, she's very interested in tasting.
No! But I don't mind to give it a try.
I think it's going to be very crispy.
Yeah. We can try. Do you want to try?
Off camera. Off the camera. But yeah, speaking about the people who were talking to us in the bus, they also mentioned, we briefly talked about the Thailand-Cambodia conflict. And they said that Cambodia in general have no interest in another major conflict for their country. They have no interest in war and anything that disrupts peace. Because right now all they want is peace. Because just not too long ago, history shows that this country has gone through a lot. They've had a dark period of time, not too long ago, during the period of the Khmer Rouge.
Tourism Information Center.
Oh, it's alright. So yeah, the river's over there. The Khmer Rouge was a dark time for Cambodians. A lot of torture, a lot of killings. So you can see a lot of that in the Genocide Museum, in the killing fields. And even the palace just now, how it was not operational during the time of the Khmer Rouge. So the market. So during the times of the Khmer Rouge, the Royal Palace was defunct. And eventually it was back to being operational under the Cambodian royals. So we are facing the river right now. This is the famous point in Phnom Penh, the riverfront. So let's take a seat. I just want to get this out of my system, you know. I just want to briefly talk about the Khmer Rouge. During Pol Pot's dictatorial regime, a lot of torture, a lot of killings of people who went against him to create this new identity for Cambodia. He was trying to erase everything that Cambodia was to create this new identity until Vietnam interfered later on and helped them out. So yeah, Cambodians is very recent up till 1975. It's very recent. So Cambodians have gone through a lot, and all they desire now is peace. They just want to move on past that, and they're looking for peace at this point of time. What the people told us was that like Cambodians have no desire for war, and they're not looking to initiate anything, create any big conflict with Thailand or anything. They just want to move on past what happened, and they just want to live a peaceful life now. They want to move on past Pol Pot's regime, the Khmer Rouge, and all that. A lot of bad things has happened in this place, and people just want to forget that and not indulge in anymore. Even just the Malaysian shop that we went to, their Wi-Fi password was choose latte, not war. So yeah. This is Walk Street, Riverside. So river, street, walk. Walk Street, Riverside. Amazingly named. That looks like an old colonial building. So we say bye-bye to the Royal Palace, the Royal Palace of Cambodia. Right now we're in the Tuktuk, and we're going to go to the killing fields. Because the killing fields, the Chong Yuk Genocide Center, is quite far south. So it's about 20 minutes, I believe. So we're going to go cover that first. Yeah, we're going to go cover that first, and then the other spots are all near the main area of the city, near our hotel, so we have more time for that. And also things close at 5 p.m. right? So we gotta be done with that. We didn't get to go inside the palace, so I don't know if we'll get another chance, but maybe if there's time permitting, we
And
can
it's
go
good
and visit
that
inside.
over here there's less honking,
Yeah, much less.
not like
honking.
India.
The one thing about the tuk-tuks here is I don't see a number plate in front, so
Yeah.
it makes it a bit difficult to find them when you book it. It's not a major inconvenience, but yeah, it would be nice if it was on the front. Phnom Penh government, if you're watching this, take my words. Ministry of Transport, take my words of advice.
But actually some of the number plates are at the front window. They paste it.
And they paste it. Cool stuff.